Welcome to the show, man. Sports Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, Live 365, iHeartRadio. We have the one and only Taylor Nichols joining me here on the show here today. You may know him from his roles in Jurassic Park 3, The Walking Dead, 1BR, Metropolitan, Barcelona. We can go on and on, but welcome to the show, man. It's an honor. How's everything going? How's your Thursday afternoon?
Thanks very much, man. It's good to be here. Thursday's good. Thursday always starts for me with a thing called Bike the Strike,
Okay,
because right now the actors are on strike. SAG
that's right.
actors on strike. The writers settled their strike a couple of weeks ago. I think everybody thought that the actors would follow soon, and things have kind of broken down. Since May, when the writers went on strike, a group of writers and actors together have been doing this thing where we get out on our bikes and we bike from one strike location at Warner Brothers to Disney to Universal. We go around Griffith Park to Netflix and Paramount and kind of rally the troops. So that's how my Thursday morning started.
Unbelievable. And we know it's been going on for months now. If you had to kind of predict how much longer this may be for you guys, because I'm someone that just got into acting recently and had some things earlier this year and then it shut down. How much longer do you think it could take?
Well, let me first say that, when there's a strike going on, sometimes that's a good time to get into the business because there's a whole world of non-union jobs opening up that are getting a little bit more attention that the SAG after actors really can't do. So sometimes that's good unless you have just joined SAG, then you're in a bind. I think we're in for not settling it until after Thanksgiving. I don't know that. I have no inside knowledge. I spent the weekend with a director and a producer, and the three of us were kind of talking about the whole situation. And the producer, buddy of mine, was saying that it seems like since we didn't settle right away after the writers signed, that the studios have a little bit more leeway to kind of hang on while, and then between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if they can sign with the actors so that we will start shooting after the holidays. That seemed to make time sense to the producer. Now he doesn't know either. He's not a studio head, and ultimately it comes down to the studio heads who, of course, make billions of dollars regardless of whether we are shooting TV shows or not.
Yeah, I know Ron Perlman was really outspoken. You probably saw what he said on Twitter, kind of just exposed some of the higher ups there. And it's unfortunate that that's how the higher ups view it because actors deserve to get paid what they're worth. But how have you been keeping busy during this time, during the strike? Because I know you want to direct a feature film. That's one of your goals. So have you been mapping out some ideas for that eventually?
Yeah, you've done your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I've been working on a couple of projects. I do a lot of theater work, and so I've been very involved in that since May when the TV and film work kind of stopped. So that keeps me busy. And I worked with a writer, Eric Gernand, about turning his play, The Beautiful Dark, into a screenplay, and we've taken it out to a couple production houses, and it's a really wonderful film. It's a beautiful look at a very dark subject, which the film is sort of about a mother who's afraid that her adult son, college age son, is about to commit an act of violence, a school shooting or something. She's not quite sure, and it's about what the parent does. And every time I see a school shooting or a workplace shooting, it makes me think of how important this film, The Beautiful Dark, could be in the marketplace, about shining a light on what happens in that family before the kid shows up at a school or a workplace or something like that. So that's what I'm working on. And, it really is syphilis. Syphilis. What's the name of the guy that pushes the rock up the hill?
Oh man.
It's not syphilis. I know that. But it really is a struggle. So I've been doing that. And also, I got to tell you, I joined your world. I have a podcast called Bike Talk. I'm a big biker, I think, as I said earlier, about biking the strike. And we've been getting into, working on that and getting that out there. And that's at biketalk.org.
Oh wow. Who are some guests that you've had on? Because now that you're in the whole podcasting world, that's a big thing. Everyone wants to get
Yeah,
guests
it's
on.
totally a big thing. And it's really fun. I got to tell you, mostly what we talk about is bicycles and safe streets and urban planning. So we have a lot of urban planning people. Jeff Speck, a writer who wrote The Walkable City, Earl Blumenauer, who's a congressman from Oregon, who's a big bike advocate, um, safe street advocates, urbanism people, people that want to change our built environment so that it's more healthy and more comfortable and more pleasurable to walk and bike around where you live. Where where are you? Are you in New York?
I'm in Connecticut because I went to school at St. John's, so I was local. I'm local in the tri-state, so I live in Connecticut.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were back east, but I wasn't sure. I'm in Los Angeles, obviously.
Yeah, 1992, you made the move.
Very good. Yeah, it was really great. I had lived in New York about 8 9 years, and I got a job. I don't know if you remember James Garner, but he was a big TV film star from the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. And my first job
You had a
was
pilot with them.
I did a pilot, and then we went to series, and that's what brought me from New York out to LA. And all of a sudden, I was like, LA is pretty good, man.
Yeah.
It's the weather's good. You can. I hadn't had a car for about 10 years, and so it was nice to have a car again. And it was and there was just more work in Los Angeles in the 90s.
Do you feel as though the work kind of has changed a little bit? Because there's people that are still in New York. Because if you're on Broadway, if you're so passionate about the theater, you're going to want to stay out in New York for the Broadway, and you were on and
Absolutely,
off Broadway.
absolutely.
Do you think it's still the same way, where there's still more opportunities out in LA?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
The business has changed. You're right, and it has. I don't want to say segregated, but it has split. Now Atlanta's a big place. Chicago's a big place with two or three, four shows there. Vancouver has been a big place for work for a long time. In fact, I used to see more friends of mine in Vancouver at the bar at the Sutton Place, the big hotel where most of the actors stay, than I would see them on the streets of LA. So I do think the world is fractured and it's split up, and we shoot more on location now and things like that because it's oftentimes cheaper with union rates and things like that. But there was a quote that all actors, have to pay taxes, all actors are going to die, and all actors have to spend 10 years in LA. And I do think that's still true.
I agree. Yeah, I think you have to make the move to LA. But something that was so important to me learning about your journey, and I think it speaks about everyone today, whether it's in podcasting, doing facial products, whatever it is, everyone's trying to get famous right away. You weren't working to be a star, you were working for the love of it. And that's an issue with my generation
Yeah,
because they all
absolutely.
want to get famous right away. And it takes away from people who are actually serious, who want to get fame eventually off of what they love doing instead of just going for the fame
Going
right
for the
away.
fame. And we see that, people, on Instagram and TikTok, and they're really just going for, for views and likes and things like that rather than putting in the work. I teach an acting class and
UCLA?
at UCLA, but I also have a private class. And my private class has been really exciting lately because, acting class is usually a bunch of young people, but I had this group of middle-aged women in the class and a couple of middle-aged men, and it was such a wonderful experience to be working with them. They were working directors and writer producers in the business, and they had wanted to take an acting class, and so we were all in this class, and it was just really fun to see how people work. And I think the younger students in the class really learned from these older women mostly about the struggles that it takes to, one, be a good actor, but two, create a body of work that will sustain you in the long run. These one hit wonders, either in acting or on social media, just don't last. And
No.
going back to the strike. Sorry to go back to the strike, but that's why we need a union. We need a union because people need to be protected for their work in the long run. That's how I get my health care. That's how I'll get my pension when I reach that ripe old age. And that's how I get protection on the set.
That's important, and that's just the first time I've really heard anyone break it down and speak about it. Because yeah, it comes with everything, healthcare, and just it keeps you secure. Because that's what
Absolutely.
it is. A lot of times you get these new guys, these one hit wonders, and they just take them right away. And it's like, well, what happened to the guy that put in 10+ years of work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sometimes the one hit wonders are great, and they become real wonders, and they become real real working actors. Timothy Chalamet comes to mind. I forgot what the first thing I saw him in was, but he's just an interesting actor, and he's going to have a long career now. But he started off sort of at the top. He didn't start off by doing walk-ons and small roles and under fives and all those things that we often talk about. And in many cases, I was lucky that way also. My first movie was Metropolitan back in 1991, and the movie made by Whit Stillman ended up going to the Academy Awards, being nominated for Academy Award. Went to the Cannes Film Festival, the Sundance Film Festival. So it really opened a lot of doors. It was really a nice intro into the film and TV world.
I love hearing the story about you getting the part, because I think you were taking acting classes during the time and you got off early dressed as a preppy kid and went out there and auditioned. And I think
That's so funny
yeah,
you bring that up. That's exactly what happened. I was studying acting with a guy named Terry Schreiber in New York. He has a studio in New York called T Schreiber Studios, and I was playing the role of a preppy kid. And I actually left the acting class early with a woman I was dating at the time, and she and I went to this audition, and there were like 500 people there. It was really it was insane. It was listed in this acting newspaper called Backstage, which is still in print today. And I just saw the ad in Backstage that said, preppy actors for independent movie. And so I showed up having no idea. I hadn't read the script. I didn't know anything. And the young woman I was with, said, I'm not going to wait for this. So she split, and we made plans to meet later, for a beer or something. And I hung in there and waited it out. And I got cast. I mean, not just on that day. I got seen on that day and then called back, and then I did read the script and auditioned with, the director and doing scenes. But I think I was one of the first actors cast, and it's really a marvelous film. It's been around for 35 years or something, and it still plays a lot at the American Cinematheque. It still plays on the holidays, and there are retro screenings. So it's a film I'm proud of.
yeah, the 30th anniversary screening a few years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to get into my film here. It wasn't my introduction because I was familiar with the work before because I've seen you in other stuff, but 1BR. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that role just blew me away. It's Jerry.
Yeah.
It's insane because cults are so real when you look at it, especially in Hollywood, because we've seen a few actresses and actors recently. I think Allison Mack was involved in a cult. She was on Smallville. So it's
Right.
scary how it could really happen to people.
Yeah.
Did the director that make you kind of do some research behind on cults and different things like that?
Directors don't usually do that. They sort of expect you to do that, and I did do that. I had met the producer and the director ahead of time, and read the script, and was really taken by it because I thought it was a psychological thriller, not a horror movie. It was kind of I think my agent said it's kind of a horror movie, and then I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then I read it and realized it was a psychological thriller. But I too am drawn in by those kinds of cults, where sometimes acting teachers are sort of cult like, and that's not good. And
No,
so it's really easy for people to go down that rabbit hole.
I think the line that sealed it for me in the movie with your performance was, "We can end it right now," and then you pull out the little.
That and the ice pick in the neck. uh,
Yeah.
but what's also interesting about that project is it was a very low budget film, and we actually filmed it over the winter holidays, when we could get studio space cheaply, and the actors were free and not working on other projects. And I think it goes to this idea that actors have to work. You have to work, and sometimes I've heard sometimes your career is your career is shaped by the jobs that you turn down. And maybe that's been my mistake in life, because I turned down very few jobs. And I just believe actors need to work. And in a case like 1BR, it paid off well. It didn't pay a lot of money up front, but the film has done well. I think it was #1 on Netflix for a little while, and it has paid off in the long run. So I was really glad that I did it.
It's on Peacock right now because I remember I think last year I saw it on there. I was blown away because when we look at older, because I know it's more psychological thriller, but when we look at older horror films like Halloween, that was low budget and that movie took off once the
Totally.
critics got it.
Right. Well, Sam Raimi, is the king of that.
Oh yeah, Evil Dead.
Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. I
Yeah.
love those guys. I actually did a movie with Bruce a long time ago, and he's just a delightful actor and a riot. He's just a riot to work with. He takes the work seriously, but he is very funny.
Oh, you could tell, especially when he's at these panels, he's really into it. And he really gives back to that franchise too. He loves the Evil Dead
Yeah,
franchise. That's where he made his name.
that's where he got his start. Exactly. Yeah.
Are you kind of a horror movie guy, psychological thriller?
I'm not really. I'm an independent movie guy.
Mm,
I'm not a sci-fi movie guy. I'm just, I like small stories. I like independent stories. I like Todd Fields, Tar and The Little Children and In the Bedroom, and I'm just drawn to smaller, more personal stories.
mm. And we see that's what you're passionate about. And now with everything lining up, do you know if there's casting companies like what you're trying to see now that are starting to put some films together? I know with the strike, they're really not doing much work, but
Yeah,
is
no,
is there going to be
I'm
something
sure that
lined
they
up?
are. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh no, is there
interrupt
going
you.
to be something lined up? Are you looking for something to have something lined up as soon as the strike is over? If anything in motion in that way?
I think I'm sure that people are, and I hope that my agent is. But I also think that they're busy right now lining up scripts and writers and stars. And I always, when people ask me about my career, I always say that I play big roles in small movies and small roles in big movies. And I think the small movies are either getting done non-union. I actually had two jobs that I was lined up to do this summer and fall, and they both went non-union. Excuse me, and I wasn't able to do them. And I'm not such a believer in the union that I think the union should keep you from working. But at a time like this, when we're on strike and it's such an important strike, I just couldn't do the projects non-union. So I did lose two jobs. They were small jobs, independent films. But as we talked about Metropolitan and 1BR, you never know where a small film is going to go.
No, you never. It could take off, and I could see because it's still building with the audiences with 1BR. It's a fan favorite. I could see that eventually having a screening years down the line. I could
Yeah,
see it.
yeah, yeah. And they've been talking. Alok Mishra, the producer, has been talking about doing a sequel to that.
Ooh.
I'm worried that maybe he waited too long to get that kind of out there. Uh, um, but I think that they are planning on that.
I know you got the ice pick through the neck, but is this like a prequel? Is this something maybe you could be a part of and
Well,
flashbacks?
believe me, that's always the problem with dying in a horror movie. I think it's going to be a sequel with a prequel part of it where we see where the cult came from. So I would
Okay.
be in that part about how the cult grew. But I've not read the script. David Marmer wrote the script, and I haven't read the new script, so I don't know how much I'll be in it or not.
That's interesting. No, that's the first time I heard about that. Thank you for revealing that. But it's
Mhm.
unfortunate just how everything's just been completely shut down. Because I know from just hosting a show and wanting to interview entertainers, and a lot of actors can't do interviews now because of the whole unions.
Oh, are you having that? Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have any movies coming out right now
Yeah. No.
that I can't promote.
Yeah, that's been a struggle for me, and it's hit all aspects because you saw how the late night shows they were gone for months, and now they're back, and they're kind of sticking with more musicians, and they can't
Yeah.
do a lot of actors as well. Only
Yeah.
certain ones I noticed. So
Yeah. 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 It's really a problem. It's so funny. When I was getting ready for this call, I was thinking about how the strike is affecting so many people downstream. You know, caterers and crew members, and coffee shops. I mean, you name it. It's really affecting Los Angeles. And I think Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, and Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, have to get more involved.
Yeah,
The when the studio heads sat down with the writers, they made a deal because they need to get those scripts written and those shows lined up and everything ready to go. Actors, unlike stars, are the last people that sort of come on the bandwagon, and so I think that's why we haven't signed yet. But I think we have to end it, and end it soon, and get back to work. There's too
exactly.
many other lives at stake.
I agree. Did you see this coming? Has this been for a while now? Because when we look at MLB was about to strike, then you heard all about UPS. This was like the
Right?
year of the strikes. Do you think kind of
Yeah.
COVID might have put things in motion for the
Yeah,
strike to
maybe.
eventually
Yeah,
happen?
that's a really good question and a really good point. I do think the business has been turned upside down because of streaming, and that was obviously
Yeah.
pushed forward because of the pandemic. I did a show called Pen 15
Mhm.
for Hulu, which was really a fun show. I was really glad to be a part of it, and I did about 20 episodes. We did two seasons, and normally that would have paid me enough money to last a year or two after the show ends, because of residual payments, and I've gotten like no money from the show. And 20 episodes is a lot of episodes, and the show is still out there. It was nominated for a couple of Emmys. The two women who created the show are really fantastic, but I should have been compensated as the show is, getting clicked on to be, viewed anew now, or people who go back and watch it again or whatever. And I haven't gotten any money. So in that sense, yeah, I think we were primed for a strike, and that's why I support the strike.
I do too, and you guys need to be paid what your worth and the work you put in. It makes you think when you start really thinking about the clicks, because the clicks on Netflix, the clicks on YouTube, the
Yeah.
ones that social media people use to use snippets. It's crazy, probably how much you guys should be making. It's
Well,
wild.
it's really a bummer, and I think that young actors, I have 30 years of work behind me. I still get checks from Murder She Wrote. I don't know if you remember that show with Angela Lansbury. Dun dun dun
No,
dun dun
no,
dun dun
wow,
dun dun dun. You don't remember Murder She Wrote?
no. Oh, A Murder She Wrote. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about now. Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it was on Sunday nights. Angela Lansbury, who just died recently, was the played Jessica. I forgot what her name was, and she was a sleuth. She was a writer who would then go solve murders. But I did those in the early mid '90s, and I still get checks from those because it is still making money for the entity that produced the show. So as the show makes money, everyone downline should make some money also.
They should. I think you did Rise 2 recently. I think that was about Giannis. If you
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Really great, really a great guy. I met him at the premiere of the movie, and he was actually in the NBA Finals when we were shooting. So
Wow.
he didn't come to the set. We filmed it all in Greece, uh, but really a wonderful story. Two great young men who played Giannis and his brother in their childhood years, and it's really a movie about his parents, and it's really a movie about what immigration and immigrants can offer the country that they immigrate to. And Giannis is a perfect example. First immigrate, well, he was actually born in Greece, but his family first immigrating to Greece and then to the US, of course, because of basketball.
Yeah. And when we think about your hometown, Magic Johnson's where you're from, Lansing.
Very good. I hate, this sounds so stupid. I used to play basketball with Magic Johnson, but there was an outdoor court in East Lansing. And when
Wow.
I was young, we would go there and he would hold court. He was the man, and he was already well known. I think Fred Stabler, I think, was the news writer for the Lansing State Journal who gave Irvin his nickname Magic Johnson. And what a I mean, I don't know if you saw any of either the HBO series about
Showtime.
the Lakers, Showtime, or Apple did a documentary about Magic. And he's just a special person.
He is.
He was a special athlete, but just a special person, businessman, everything.
Yeah, 100%. And you have some other hobbies too, because I heard that you played the guitar. I think you bought an amp.
Ah. I'm the worst. I don't know if I can swear on this or
You
not, but I'm the
can.
worst freaking guitar player in the world. But God damn, I love it. I love the fretboard. I love learning about it, and it has opened me up. I started off doing musical theater. I worked in New York in musical theater, and then on national
Colorado,
tours and stuff. Colorado, exactly. And so when I was young, I was into 42nd Street and
Billy Joel.
musicals. Yeah, Jesus Christ Superstar, whatever it was. And I didn't pay much attention to the the guitar and what an amazing instrument it is. So yeah, during the pandemic, I started playing the guitar, and I can go down a rabbit hole and wake up like a couple hours later with sore fingers. So
And now that you know how to play the guitar a little bit, you could use that in a film if they needed a part, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, listen, I wouldn't say that. I don't know
Yeah.
that I could play well enough to play, like a Jeff Bridges in the movie that he did that he won the Academy Award where he played the broken down guitar player. Uh, uh, but actors do have to be, jack of all trades. You really do have to be able to learn and pick something up quickly, whether it's playing the piano, a language, playing the guitar, or just getting comfortable. I did this Western movie called Goldmine that is going to come out soon. And I don't know if I can actually talk about that now that we're talking about the strike.
Yeah.
But I had to learn how to ride a horse. I mean, I've ridden a horse many times, but we had to ride, and so I took a couple of lessons with our stunt coordinator, and you just have to do that. And sometimes it's not just riding, but it's being around the horse, because so many of the scenes that we shot were putting the saddle on, or talking to someone while we're standing by the horses, and you just need to be comfortable in that environment. When you walk around the horse around the back, you kind of put your hand on their rump so they don't kick you. And you just get comfortable. And I think that's one of the fun things about being an actor, is becoming a jack of all trades. It just so happens I'm a master of none.
Not any? You don't think so?
No, no.
Oh man.
Certainly not the guitar.
But there was a big film that you were in, Jurassic Park 3, Laura Dern, Sam
Yeah.
Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe
iconic.
Johnson directed that, and that was produced by Kennedy Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy, and Frank Marshall. And I had done Congo, which was directed by Frank Marshall, and so they cast me in really a small part in Jurassic Park 3. But Laura Dern is, sexy, uh, talented, fun, easygoing. She was a delight to work with. Sam had a very small part in the scene I was in, but Joe Johnston was great, and it was really a fun project to be in. And being in those big movies is just fun. The lunch is really good, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Spielberg budget.
Crazy,
Unbelievable.
crazy. Yeah.
You've been around some big guys, Ben Affleck too. I think you were around him back in a
Hmm.
while ago too.
It's interesting because I did the movie Boiler Room with Ben Affleck just as he was taking off. He was pretty well known after Good Will Hunting, and it was a couple of years after Good Will Hunting, and he was really taking off. And he had not a big part in Boiler Room. It was mainly Giovanni Ribisi and Vin Diesel, and they were also coming up. Ben Younger was the writer director of the film, and it's really a good film. But what I want to say about Ben is he could have easily phoned that in. He was kind of a star. He only worked a couple of days, but he didn't. He took the job seriously. He's great in the film. He has a big long monologue. I don't know if you've seen the film or seen it recently, but he has a big long monologue, and he fucking nailed it, man. And that's why I really like those kinds of actors, because they show up and they do their work, and it's good.
You've spoken about it before. Sometimes we think that it's the bigger people that will be difficult to work with or kind of shrug it off. It's usually the people that are down more on the scale that are like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the other way around. The big actors want you to be good so that they can be better, and that the project will be better. And the big actors, have strong enough egos where they're not fragile and they're not worried about someone outshining them or something like that. It's totally the actors that are the B-list stars that are paranoid that they're, someone's going to outshine them, or paranoid that they're going to be found out as really not being a great actor, that oftentimes don't work hard enough in the projects. They don't learn their lines fast enough. They don't really do the work that I think good actors want to do. I want to do the research about the character. I want to learn I want to play around. Going back all the way to James Garner, on Man of the People. James Garner used to rehearse with me, this kid who was his first job in TV, all the time if I wanted to. But and I don't know if I should say any names, but some of the actors on some of the TV shows or movies can be real assholes. And it's like, hey man, I'm here for you. This is your show. You're the star of the show. You're the one making $1 million an episode. I'm working for scale. So don't be an asshole to me. And it's it's depressing. And I don't mind seeing those guys fail. And they're mostly guys.
No, I like this though. You're really out in the open here. No, I agree. Like you'll see how there's some. I've noticed it like on certain places that I've been. Yeah, they treat, and I just heard stories, especially if you're a stuntman in this. I've interviewed a couple of stuntmen, and they're really treated terribly by some of the big
Yeah.
stars. Yeah,
Yeah. It's really funny you say stuntman, because I was in Perry Mason, and without giving it away, at the end of the film, I have to do a fairly physical, not film, at the end of the series, I have to do a fairly physical death scene. And, you know, I want to do it. It's like, I can do it, man. I'm an active, healthy, strong, guy. I can do this. I've had stage training. But the stunt guy who shows up, it's his opportunity to work too, and he wants to work and he wants to do it. So usually I find a way that I can do most of the stunt with the acting part. And then when it comes to the big fall or whatever it is, I'll let the stunt guy do it. But partly because I want them to work also. They're there. They had to grow a beard or had to shave or get in wardrobe and kind of learn the character and the scene. And so I always feel for someone like Tom Cruise's stuntman who never gets to work.
no. Oh man, unbelievable. I mean, during this time now, when we look back just on everything that you've accomplished this far, I know you want to direct your feature film and you've switched agents before because you felt as though that certain things you just want to change it up, like you take control of your destiny. Did you have more of a kind of reflection process during the strike about what else you want for your
Oh
career?
man, that's a great question. That's a great question. I've been keeping a journal since 1987, and like 20 years before you were born, probably,
Yeah.
and or 15 years, I'm
Yeah, I
guessing,
was born
maybe.
in 1999, the
Oh,
last
okay,
great
okay,
year of the what we
yeah.
know it to be. I love the 90s.
Which means you have the chance to live in three different decades, three different centuries.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool, man.
it is.
Um, but the strike and keeping the journal definitely gets me thinking about that. And if anything, I think the issue that I have had lately is I haven't been taking enough risk. And that's something that I talk to my acting students about. That's something that I talk to young actors about. You've got to take risks. You got to fail. You got to fail. And I think maybe in the last that getting through the pandemic and kind of looking back at the last, 5, 6, 8 years of my life, I'm not taking the risks that I took when I was younger, moving out to LA, becoming an actor in the first place, moving to New York, doing this project, doing that project, making that phone call. You reached out to me, you made that first step. And I think that's really important. And we have to do that. And I think that's the one thing that I have realized about myself in the downtime of the pandemic, in the downtime of the strike, especially, that maybe I need to kick myself in the butt a little bit more and fail. Go down swinging at least, but fail, because I do believe failure is the quickest way to success.
Yeah, that's true. That's how you grow. You grow from your mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I say that to my children. I say that to my students, and hearing it from you is like, yeah, so,
Lansing, we know that's where you're from, Michigan. Are you a Lions fan?
I'm a Vikings fan.
Vikings.
Yeah, and I think I'm the youngest of three, and I three boys, and I think I just was going for something different. I didn't want with the purple people eaters, and Fran Tarkenton was the quarterback, and I like their uniforms, I like their helmets. Uh, so I'm a Vikings fan.
Is that work for the Twins too? Are you kind of on the twin side too? Or are you
No,
the
nope.
Tigers?
I'm a Tigers fan all the way.
Tigers.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Although I got
Basketball,
to tell you,
Pistons.
I gave up on baseball a little bit. I played it all through high school. I really enjoyed it, but I don't watch much baseball. I don't know why.
Yeah, I said it wasn't realistic when I was watching the game last night because they have so many new wild cards for just basically every team to make it. So now you're watching the Astros that
Right,
have all this
right.
all-star talent, and then the Rangers that really don't have that much talent, but they're beating them, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, what do you think about the new rules in the game? The
Yeah,
pitch
like the
clock and
pitch clock. Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, they say it speeds up the game, but I don't think I haven't really noticed a difference. It's still three
yeah.
hours long. Yeah, I'm more of a basketball, football guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
are you Pistons
I'm a
fan?
basketball guy. No, I'm a Lakers fan,
Lakers fan.
and
Matt, you
I
got
think
the
it was
Magic
because
background.
Irvin Johnson Magic came out, and that was also Showtime, and I just became a Lakers fan. I liked all those guys, and I still follow them. I like LeBron James a lot. I think he's great. I think he's doing great things in his life, and so I'm a Lakers fan.
Yeah, Kobe too. Yeah, that was
Kobe too.
tragic a couple
Yeah,
years ago.
tragic. Yeah, it's hard to think that he's gone, but
Yeah, it's still surreal. Things haven't been right since then. I think I said
yeah,
it since Kobe passed away. That's when everything went downhill.
yeah. It's funny, LA is a city of murals. I don't know if you knew that, but there's murals all over the city. It's a very sort of established art form. It's on highway uh, walls and buildings, and there's a lot of murals with Kobe in it. Kobe and his daughter,
Yeah.
and Kobe and things that Kobe has said, and it's a really beautiful way to memorialize someone.
Oh, I agree. How about music today? Are you a music guy? Because I know you mentioned 42nd Street. Are you a fan of like today's music?
I got to tell you, I am so fucking out of it. It's awful. And that's why I'm digging playing the guitar, because I'm learning all this shit that I should have learned a long time ago. I just spent 10 hours in a car with a buddy driving back from Park City. And I was, I love it now that when Spotify plays something, you see the song, you see the artist, you see the title, you see the album, and it's like school for me. It's like, oh, that's who that is. I always knew that name. It's so I'm the last person you want on your show to talk about music.
Oh,
I like Van Morrison, I like the Beatles, and I like show tunes.
yeah.
It's just disgusting.
But when we look back on it, I think you could look back and say, at least I wasn't a great middle manager at a car company.
I don't know where you found that quote, but that is definitely true. Uh, and that's where I first started taking a risk,
Yeah.
and I don't know why I stopped. But someone said to me, "You're going to be a great middle manager at a car company." And I almost shot myself. So I moved to New York after that.
You made the right move all the way
Yeah.
from Michigan, graduating there and pursuing acting in Colorado, New York. Now you're out in LA. Have you thought about relocating out of LA or you're
It's funny you say that. I have, uh, partly because the business is changing, and you don't need to be in LA as much because of auditions. You can do those remotely. Um, there's so much more work that is being done on location, so it doesn't matter if I fly to Vancouver from LA, or if I fly to Vancouver from Colorado or something like that. So I have thought of that. I do like Los Los Angeles. I mean, today it's 75 degrees and it's sunny. And like I said, I rode the bike this morning, and I teach a class at UCLA, and I'll ride there this evening. And you can't do that in Connecticut in
No,
like a
Connecticut's
month or two
terrible.
from now. Yeah. So I do like LA. I have a lot of friends here, but you know, I've been here a long time, and I think you're right. I really miss the East Coast. I really miss New York. Uh, I worked a fair amount in Connecticut in the
Oh.
theater, and I would like to be in more of a metropolitan area.
Mm. I think you'll be second guessing once you feel that first wind gust come here from the winter.
And you have to scrape the ice off your windows.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm telling
yeah,
you, it's
yeah.
coming. Taylor Nichols, man, is there anything else you would love to let your fans know? Anything else that you have on the way here that we didn't speak about today?
No, you listen, man. You did your homework. It was really nice to meet you and to talk to you. After you first contacted me, I've listened to your show a couple of times, and I really dig your show. I dig your style. Very, very loose and fun, and I hope people enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed your other shows. There's a lot of them. You cover the gambit, so they're all good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Taylor Nichols. It means a lot. I want you to take care, stay safe. You're always welcome on the show. Anything that you want to have to promote, you're always welcome back on the show.
Thanks. Let me ask you a question. Where'd your name come from?
Mad Max. I think people used to just call me that, because it's just so easy because that was a movie, and then it's been in hip hop lyrics, so people just
Yeah.
gave me that name, and it just kind of clicked from there. People used to call me Maximilian, so I think I took the couple different names and just, yeah, Mad Max just goes.
And made it your own. I love it.
Yeah. uh Taylor, man, I want you to take care, stay safe. Let's hope this actor strike ends very soon so that we both can get back out there,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
do some
Yeah.
things. All right,
Mad Max,
Taylor.
thanks, man.
Of course, anytime, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Same to you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.